Stay. The word broke something inside Lena she didn't know was still whole. She'd been thrown out by her family, destroyed by lies, hunted like an animal. She'd ridden 3 days straight, expecting nothing but more rejection. But Caleb Ryder stood on his broken-down ranch, looking at her like she mattered. "I don't need saving," she whispered. "Good, because I'm not offering rescue." His voice was rough with something that sounded like truth. "I'm offering a place. For someone who's tired of running. For someone who knows what it's like when the whole world decides you're worthless." He reached out his hand. "Stay," he said again, "and let's prove them all wrong together." Before we continue, I want to ask you to subscribe to this channel and stay with me until the end of this story. Please comment with the city you're watching from, so I can see how far this story has traveled. Before we continue, I want to ask you to subscribe to this channel and stay with me until the end of this story. Please comment with the city you're watching from, so I can see how far this story has traveled. I said get off my property. Lena didn't move. Her horse, a gray mare with ribs showing through patchy coat, shifted beneath her. She'd ridden 3 days straight to get here, following a rumor about a ranch that needed help, and a man who didn't ask questions. Turned out the second part was wrong. "I can work," she said. "Don't need help. Your fence is falling apart, your barn door's hanging by one hinge, and that water trough has a crack running through it that's wasting half your supply." Caleb turned back around slow. His eyes were the kind of gray that comes from seeing too much and caring too little. 40, maybe 45. Unshaven. Shoulders that carried weight nobody could see. "You always this observant when you're trespassing." "I'm observant when I need to survive." He walked closer, stopped 6 feet away, close enough to study her face. She let him look, let him see the bruise fading along her jaw, the cut on her lip that was still healing, the absence of anything in her eyes that looked like hope. "Where'd you come from?" "East." "That's not an answer." "It's the only one you're getting." His jaw tightened. She knew this moment, knew the look of a man deciding whether to help or hurt. She'd been on the wrong side of that decision too many times. "I don't take in strays," he said. "I'm not asking you to take me in. I'm asking you to let me work. I'll fix what's broken. I'll sleep in the barn. You won't even know I'm here." "I'd know." "Then you'll know someone's finally fixing this place before it falls apart completely." The words landed harder than she meant them to. His face didn't change, but something behind his eyes did. Something that looked like recognition. "1 week," he said. "You work. I watch. If you cause problems, you leave. If you steal, you leave. If you bring trouble here, I won't. You don't know that." "Yes," Lena said quietly. "I do." He studied her another long moment. Then he turned and walked toward the barn. "Water's by the well. Don't touch anything in the house." She dismounted. Her legs almost gave out. 3 days of riding would do that. 3 days of running would do worse. "Thank you," she said. He didn't turn around. "Don't thank me yet, Mike." The barn smelled like old hay and loneliness. Lena found a corner away from the draft, spread out the single blanket she'd brought, and lay down without removing her boots. Sleep came in fragments. Every sound jerked her awake. The wind against wood, an owl in the rafters, the creak of the barn door. She opened her eyes. Caleb stood in the doorway, backlit by early morning sun. "You talk in your sleep," he said. Her stomach dropped. "What did I say?" "Couldn't make it out. Just sounded like you were arguing with someone." He paused. "You always sleep like you're ready to run." "Depends on where I'm sleeping." He nodded, like that made sense. "There's coffee in the house. Figured you'd need it if you're planning to fix everything you listed yesterday." "I don't need charity." "It's not charity. It's practical. Can't fix things if you pass out from exhaustion." He turned to leave, then stopped. "And for the record, you can take your boots off. Nobody's coming for you here." The door closed before she could ask how he knew. DH. The coffee was strong enough to strip paint. She drank it standing at the kitchen window, watching the sun climb over land that looked like it had been forgotten by God and everyone else. Caleb was already outside working on the fence she'd mentioned. He moved like a man who knew exactly what he was doing and didn't see the point in rushing. She finished the coffee and joined him. "Thought you were fixing the barn door," he said without looking up. "Thought I'd help with this first." "Don't need help. You need both hands to stretch that wire properly. I've got 2 hands free." He glanced at her. Then he handed her the wire. "Hold it tight while I hammer." They worked in silence, the kind that wasn't comfortable, but wasn't hostile either. Just 2 people who'd learned that talking didn't fix anything. "You know what you're doing," he said after the 3rd post. "Had to learn fast." "Where?" "Lots of places." He didn't push. She appreciated that more than the coffee. By noon, they'd repaired 20 feet of fence. Her hands were bleeding from the wire. She didn't mention it. He noticed anyway. "There's bandages in the house," he said. "Clean up, then eat something." "I'm fine." That wasn't a suggestion. She met his eyes, saw something there that wasn't quite kindness, but wasn't cruelty either. More like someone who understood what it meant to push past pain because stopping hurt worse. "All right," she said. The house was smaller than it looked from outside. One room that served as kitchen and living space, a bedroom off to the side, everything clean but worn, like someone who kept things in order out of discipline, not love. She found the bandages, found bread and cheese, sat at the table that had probably seen 1,000 meals, but none of them happy. "You married?" His voice came from the doorway. "No." "Engaged?" Her hand stopped moving. "Not anymore." "That who gave you the bruise?" "No." She wrapped the bandage tighter than necessary. "He didn't hit me. He just destroyed everything I thought I knew about myself and then walked away." Caleb was quiet for a long moment. "And your family?" Believed him. About what? About me being a liar, a manipulator, someone who'd do anything for money. She looked up. "He said I tried to trap him into marriage, that I faked being pregnant, that I was unstable." "Were you pregnant numbered unstable?" "Probably, but not the way he meant." She finished wrapping her hands. "He needed a reason to break the engagement that would make him look like the victim. I gave him one just by existing." "So you left?" "No. They threw me out. My father said if I ever came back, he'd have me committed, institutionalized. Said I was a danger to myself and the family reputation." Her voice stayed level, flat. "Turns out reputation matters more than truth." Caleb leaned against the doorframe. "How long ago?" 5 weeks. "And you've been writing ever since?" "Couldn't stay anywhere. People talk, stories spread. I'd start to work, someone would hear my name, and suddenly I'd be asked to leave." She stood up. "So I stopped giving my real name, stopped staying anywhere long enough to matter." "Why here?" "Because you're far enough from everything that nobody cares, and because—" She stopped. "Because what?" "Because you look like someone who understands what it's like when the world decides you're guilty of crimes you didn't commit." His expression didn't change, but his hands did. They tightened into fists, then released, then tightened again. "Get back to work," he said, and left. She worked until her body gave out, fixed the barn door, patched the water trough with tar and wood, started clearing the debris that had accumulated in corners nobody had cared about for years. Caleb watched, sometimes from a distance, sometimes close enough that she could feel his presence like a weight pressing against her back. "You're trying too hard," he said late afternoon. "Just doing what needs doing." "No, you're trying to prove something." "Maybe I am. To me or to yourself." She stopped, turned. "Does it matter?" "Yeah. Because if it's to me, you're wasting your time. I don't need convincing. If it's to yourself, you'll burn out before the week's done, and then you'll have nowhere to go." "I already have nowhere to go." "Then pace yourself," he said. Nowhere isn't there. Dinner was beans and bread. They ate outside, sitting on the porch steps, because the house felt too small for two people who didn't trust each other yet. "How long have you been here?" she asked. 6 years. "Alone." "Mostly." "What happened to mostly?" He was quiet long enough that she thought he wouldn't answer. "Then, had a partner once. We worked the ranch together. Built it up from nothing." "What happened?" "He died." The way he said it carried weight. Not just grief, guilt. "I'm sorry," Lena said. "Don't be. It was my fault." "How?" "Because I was supposed to be there and I wasn't." He set his plate down. "We'd been arguing about money, about whether to expand or stay small. Stupid things that didn't matter. I rode into town to clear my head. Told him I'd be back by evening." He stopped, started again. "Storm came in. Bad one. Lightning struck the barn. He went in to get the horses out. Roof collapsed." Lena's chest tightened. "You couldn't have known." "Could have been there. Should have been there." He stood up. "Instead, I was drinking in a saloon, feeling sorry for myself because someone disagreed with me." That's exactly what it was. "And by the time I got back, he was dead, and half the barn was gone." He looked at her. "So if you're wondering why I don't let people close, that's why. Everyone I care about ends up paying for it." She understood then. The isolation, the resistance, the warning in his eyes when she'd first arrived. "I'm not asking you to care about me," she said quietly. "Good. Because I won't." But the way he said it sounded less like a promise and more like a prayer he'd already lost faith in. The week passed in pieces. Work, silence. Meals that grew slightly less tense. Caleb still watched her like she might vanish or explode at any moment. She still moved like someone expecting to be cast out. On the 6th day, she finished repairing the last section of fence, stood back and looked at the work they'd done together. It wasn't perfect, but it was solid. "Looks good," Caleb said behind her. "It'll hold." "Yeah." He paused. "So will you." She turned. "What?" "Week's up tomorrow. You can stay if you want. Keep working. I'll pay you." Her throat closed. "You don't have to." "I know I don't have to. I'm choosing to." He met her eyes. "You've earned it." "Caleb, don't make a big thing out of this. You need a place. I need help. It's practical." But the way his voice caught on the word practical told her it was anything but. "Thank you," she said. He nodded once, started to walk away, then stopped. "That name you stopped using, what was it?" "Lena. Lena Carter." "Lena," he repeated like he was testing how it felt. "I'm Caleb Ryder, since we're apparently doing this." "Doing what?" "Trusting each other enough to use real names." She almost smiled. "Is that what we're doing?" "Hell if I know." But something in his face had softened. "Go get cleaned up. Tomorrow we start on the roof." Sig. That night, she didn't sleep in the barn. Caleb had set up a small room off the kitchen. Nothing fancy, just a bed and a chair and a window that looked out over land that felt a little less lonely. "It's not much," he'd said when he showed it to her. "It's everything," she'd answered. She lay in the dark, listening to the sounds of the house settling. Footsteps in the other room. Water running. The creak of Caleb's bed as he lay down. For the first time in 5 weeks, she let herself cry. Not from grief, not from fear, but from the strange, unfamiliar relief of being somewhere she might actually be allowed to stay. Meg. Morning came with shouting. Lena jerked awake, heart slamming, ran to the kitchen, found Caleb at the door blocking someone she couldn't see. "I said get off my land, Marcus." "Not until you hear me out." "I've heard enough from you to last a lifetime." "Caleb, please." "No." His voice was granite. "You made your choice 5 years ago. You don't get to come back now and pretend it didn't happen." "I'm not pretending anything. I'm trying to make it right." "By doing what?" Showing up and expecting forgiveness. By telling you the truth. Caleb's whole body went rigid. The truth. About that night. About what really happened. Lena stepped closer. Saw the man in the doorway. Younger than Caleb. Maybe 30. Well-dressed, clean-shaven. Everything Caleb wasn't. Who is this? Marcus's eyes landed on her. None of your business, Caleb said. You're taking in strangers now. After everything you said about trusting people. She's not a stranger. Really. How long has she been here? A week, too? Marcus's smile was ugly. That's rich, Caleb. You wouldn't speak to me for 5 years, but some woman shows up and suddenly... Shut your mouth. Or what? You'll throw me out like you did before. Marcus stepped forward. I was 17 years old. I made a mistake. I've been trying to apologize for 5 years, and you won't even... Your mistake killed my best friend. The words dropped like stones. Marcus went white. That's not fair. Fair? You want to talk about fair? Caleb's voice shook. Daniel is dead because you were drunk and you decided to light a lantern in a barn full of dry hay. Fair would be you in the ground instead of him. I didn't know the storm was coming. You didn't know because you were too drunk to notice the sky turning black. Caleb's hands were fists. You didn't know because you'd been drinking since noon, and you thought it would be funny to scare the horses. I was a kid. You were old enough to know better, and instead of owning it, you let me believe it was lightning. Let me carry that guilt for 5 years while you... He stopped, breathed hard. Get out. Caleb. I said get out. Marcus looked at Lena, then back at Caleb. This isn't over. Yeah, Caleb said quietly. It is. The door slammed. Caleb stood there breathing like he'd run a mile. His shoulders were shaking. Caleb, Lena said softly. Don't. He was drunk. He made a mistake. That doesn't mean... I said don't. He turned. His eyes were wrecked. You don't know what you're talking about. I know what it's like to be blamed for something that wasn't entirely your fault. This is different. Is it? Because from where I'm standing, it sounds like you've been carrying guilt that wasn't yours to carry. And now that you know the truth, you don't know what to do with it. His face crumpled. Just for a second. Then he pulled it back together. I need to be alone, he said, and walked out. Lena stood in the empty kitchen, watching him disappear toward the fields. Knowing he'd go somewhere far enough that nobody could see him break. She understood that too. He didn't come back until sunset. Lena had finished the day's work alone, fed the horses, checked the fences, made dinner that she knew he probably wouldn't eat. When he finally walked through the door, his eyes were red. I'm sorry, he said. You don't have to. I do. You didn't deserve that. She set the plate in front of him. Eat first, talk after. He ate mechanically, like someone who'd forgotten what food tasted like. When he finished, he pushed the plate away and looked at her. I blamed myself for 6 years, he said. Told myself if I'd been there, Daniel would still be alive. Built my whole life around that guilt, and now I find out it was Marcus all along, my own brother. Lena's breath stopped. Your brother? Half-brother. Same father, different mothers. He lived with us after his mom died. Daniel and I tried to raise him right, but... He shook his head. He was angry, reckless, always pushing boundaries. And you've been protecting him? No. I've been punishing both of us. Him by cutting him out. Me by refusing to move forward. What are you going to do now? Caleb looked out the window. At the land he'd worked alone for 6 years. The ranch he'd built as penance for a crime he didn't commit. I don't know, he said. But I know I can't keep living like this. Lena reached across the table. Let her hand rest near his. Not touching. Just close. You don't have to figure it out tonight. He looked at her hand, then at her face. Why are you still here? He asked. You could have left when I told you to. Could have walked away when Marcus showed up, but you stayed. Because nowhere else felt like somewhere, she said simply. That's not a reason. It's the only one that matters. They sat in the quiet, two people who'd been broken by different betrayals, learning what it meant to exist in the same space without flinching. I'm glad you stayed, Caleb said finally. Me too. And for the first time since she'd arrived, Lena thought maybe, just maybe, running had finally brought her to the place she was supposed to stop. But peace. Lena had learned never lasted long. 3 days later, a woman arrived at the ranch driving a wagon that looked too expensive for the dust it was kicking up. She stopped at the gate, didn't bother getting down, just sat there like she owned the view. Caleb was shoeing a horse. Lena was hauling water. They both stopped. You expecting someone? Lena asked. No, the woman called out. Caleb Ryder. He straightened slowly. Who's asking? Margaret Holloway. I represent the Holloway Land Development Company. We're expanding our holdings in this region. Good for you, not interested. You haven't heard my offer. Don't need to. He went back to the horse. Margaret climbed down from the wagon smooth and deliberate. She was maybe 50, dressed like someone who'd never worked a day in her life, but had made a fortune watching other people do it. Mr. Ryder, I'm prepared to offer you 3 times what this property is worth. Cash. You could start over somewhere better. This is somewhere better. This is the middle of nowhere with failing infrastructure and no future. Lena saw Caleb's jaw tighten, saw his hand grip the hammer harder. The answer is no, he said. Margaret's eyes shifted to Lena, assessed her in one cold sweep. And you are? Someone who lives here, Lena said evenly. How long? Long enough. Interesting. Margaret smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. Mr. Ryder, perhaps we should discuss this privately. Nothing private about it. I'm not selling. Now get off my land. I should mention that I've already acquired the 3 properties surrounding yours, which means you're now completely landlocked. Your only access road runs through my property now. Caleb went very still. That road's been public access for 20 years. Was public access. The county sold it to me last month. Apparently they needed funds for infrastructure improvements. She paused. Of course I'm willing to grant you an easement. For a price. How much? $200, monthly. Lena's stomach dropped. That was extortion. You can't do that, Caleb said. I already have. You can verify with the county clerk if you'd like. Margaret adjusted her gloves. Or you can sell me this property, take my generous offer, and avoid the hassle entirely. Get out. You have until the end of the month to decide. After that, the price drops, and the monthly easement fee increases. She turned toward her wagon, then stopped. Oh, and Mr. Ryder, I'd be careful about who you trust. Strangers have a way of complicating things. The look she gave Lena was pointed. After she left, Caleb threw the hammer. It hit the barn wall hard enough to dent the wood. Caleb, I need to ride into town, see if she's lying. She's not lying, Lena said quietly. People like her don't bluff. Then I need to figure out what the hell I'm going to do. He grabbed his coat. Stay here. Don't let anyone else on the property. What if Marcus comes back? Especially Marcus. He rode out fast, leaving Lena standing in a silence that felt heavier than before. She was checking the fence line when she heard the horse approaching. Not Caleb's. The gait was wrong, too smooth, too controlled. A man she'd never seen before rode up. 40-something, well-groomed, expensive clothes. Everything about him screamed money and danger. Can I help you? Lena called. I'm looking for Lena Carter. Her blood went cold. Who's asking? He dismounted, walked toward her slowly, like he had all the time in the world and knew she had nowhere to run. My name is Thomas Whitmore. I'm a private investigator. Your father hired me to find you. I don't have a father. James Carter might disagree with that. He pulled out a photograph. Her. Taken 5 weeks ago, the day she'd left. He's very worried about you. He threw me out. He says you left in a state of mental distress, that you made threats against yourself and others, that you need medical intervention. That's a lie. Is it because, according to his sworn statement, you attempted to manipulate his business partner into marriage by claiming pregnancy? When that failed, you became violent and unstable. I was never violent. Then why did Dr. Richard Hammond file a restraining order against you? The name hit like a fist. Richard, her former fiancé, the man who'd destroyed her. He did what? 3 weeks ago, claims you've been following him, sending threatening letters, showing up at his home and place of business. I've been here for over a week. Before that, I was riding west. I haven't been anywhere near him. Can you prove that? She couldn't. She deliberately avoided towns, avoided people, avoided leaving any trace. What do you want? She asked. I want you to come back voluntarily. Your father is prepared to get you the help you need. A private facility. Very discreet. You'll be well cared for. You mean locked up? I mean protected. From yourself and from the legal consequences of your actions. He paused. Mr. Hammond is willing to drop the charges if you seek treatment. Otherwise, there will be warrants, arrests, public trials. Is that really what you want? I want to be left alone. That's not an option anymore. He took a step closer. You can come with me now quietly, and this all goes away. Or I can come back with the sheriff and make this much harder for everyone involved. I'm not going anywhere. Miss Carter, I'm trying to help you. No, you're trying to drag me back to people who want me erased. Her voice shook. I'm not sick. I'm not dangerous. I'm just someone who refused to disappear quietly when it was convenient. Then prove it. Come back. Face the accusations. Clear your name. I can't clear my name against people who've already decided I'm guilty. You can try. Or I can stay here and build a life that doesn't require their permission. Thomas's expression hardened. I was hoping we could do this the easy way. There is no easy way. There's only the truth, and the truth is, I'm done letting other people write my story. He studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. All right, Miss Carter, if that's your choice. But I should warn you, your father is a very determined man, and he has resources you can't imagine. Then I guess I'll find out how much I'm worth fighting for. Thomas remounted his horse. I'll be back, with paperwork and authority. He looked toward the house. This man you're staying with, Caleb Ryder, does he know who you really are? He knows enough. Does he know about the restraining order? The allegations? The fact that half the county back east thinks you're mentally unstable. He knows I was thrown away by people who should have protected me. That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting. Thomas smiled grimly. I'll see you soon, Miss Carter. He rode off, leaving Lena standing in the middle of a life that was about to collapse again. Caleb returned 2 hours later. His face told her everything before he said a word. It's true, he said. She bought the land, legally. The county clerk showed me the deeds. What about the road? Public access was sold 3 weeks ago. I didn't even know it was up for auction. Can you fight it? With what I barely have enough to keep this place running, let alone hire lawyers. He dismounted heavily. She's got me trapped. I can't get supplies in, can't get livestock out, can't do anything without paying her ransom. There has to be another way. Yeah, what? He looked at her, really looked. What happened while I was gone? Nothing. Lena. Someone came by, asked questions. I sent him away. Who? She hesitated too long. Who, Lena? A private investigator, hired by my father. Caleb's whole body went rigid. What did he want? To take me back. Said there's a restraining order. Allegations. They want me committed. Committed to what? A facility. They're claiming I'm mentally unstable, dangerous. Her voice cracked. It's all lies, Caleb, every word. But they have money and lawyers and I have... You have me. The words were so simple, so absolute. They broke something in her chest. You can't fight this, she said. You've got your own problems. So we fight both. He stepped closer. You think I'm going to let them take you? After everything. You don't understand what you're up against. Then explain it to me. So she did. Told him about Richard Hammond, about the fake pregnancy accusation, about her father's business connections and political influence, about how they'd built a narrative so airtight that her own mother had believed it. And now they've filed a restraining order claiming I've been stalking him, she finished. Which means if I go back, if I try to defend myself, I'm already violating it. They've made it impossible for me to fight without proving their point. Caleb was quiet for a long time. Then, when's the investigator coming back? He didn't say, but soon. And this restraining order, can they enforce it here? If they get a warrant, if they convince a judge I'm a danger. Are you? No. Then we make sure they can't prove otherwise. He grabbed her shoulders, not rough, but firm. Listen to me. You stay on this property. You don't go into town. You don't talk to anyone who comes here except me. We keep you invisible until we figure out how to fight this. Caleb, you can't protect me and deal with Margaret Holloway at the same time. Watch me. This isn't your fight. You made it my fight when you decided to stay. His eyes burned. I told you everyone I care about ends up paying for it. But I also told you I can't keep living the way I've been living. So either I care enough to fight, or I spend the rest of my life alone, because I was too afraid to try. What if we lose? Then we lose together. He let her go. But we don't lose without fighting. That night, Marcus showed up again. Caleb heard the horse and was at the door before Marcus could knock. What part of "get out" did you misunderstand? I need to talk to you about Margaret Holloway. Caleb froze. How do you know about her? Because she came to see me yesterday, offered me money. For what? Information. About you. About the ranch. About whether you'd sell if you got desperate enough. Marcus's face was grim. I told her no, but she's not going to stop Caleb. She's been buying up land all over this region, forcing people out. And from what I hear, she doesn't take no for an answer. Why do you care? Because you're my brother, and because... He stopped, started again. Because I owe you a truth I should have told you 6 years ago. I already know you started the fire. It's worse than that. Marcus's voice shook. Daniel didn't die in the fire. He died trying to save me. The words hung in the air like poison. What are you talking about? Caleb said slowly. I was drunk, started the fire, but then I passed out in the barn. The smoke, I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. Tears streaked Marcus's face. Daniel came in, dragged me out, then went back for the horses. That's when the roof collapsed. Caleb's knees almost gave out. You let me think. I was scared. I was 17 and drunk, and I just killed the best man I ever knew. So I ran. And I let you believe it was lightning because I was a coward. You're still a coward. I know, but I'm trying not to be. Marcus took a shaking breath. Margaret Holloway is dangerous. She's connected, and she's using every dirty trick in the book to get what she wants. If you fight her alone, you'll lose. So what are you suggesting? I'm suggesting you let me help. I've got contacts, people who owe me favors. Maybe we can find something she doesn't want made public. Why would you do that? Because I can't bring Daniel back. But maybe I can help save what he helped build. Marcus met his eyes. And because you deserve better than to lose everything twice. Caleb wanted to say no, wanted to throw Marcus off the property and never see him again. But desperation makes people reconsider things they swore they'd never do. I'll think about it, he said. Don't think too long. She gave you until the end of the month. That's 3 weeks. I know how calendars work. Marcus nodded, started to leave, then turned back. That woman's staying with you. Who is she? None of your business. Caleb, if Margaret finds out you've got someone here with a questionable past, she'll use it against you. She'll make it look like you're harboring criminals. She'll turn the town against you. She's not a criminal. Doesn't matter. Perception is all that matters when someone's trying to destroy you. Marcus held his gaze. Protect her, but be careful, because right now, you're both targets. After Marcus left, Lena came out of the back room where she'd been listening. He's right, she said. If they connect me to you, if they use me as ammunition, they won't. You can't promise that. No, but I can promise I'm not throwing you to the wolves just to save myself. He turned to face her. We're in this together now, whether you like it or not. I don't want to be the reason you lose everything. You're not the reason. Margaret Holloway is the reason. Your father is the reason. People who think they can control others just because they have money, they're the reason. He crossed to her. You and me. We're just people trying to survive, and we do that better together than apart. How do you know? Because I've been apart for 6 years and it nearly killed me, and because you've been running for 5 weeks and it brought you here, to me. His hand found hers. That's not coincidence. That's survival, recognizing survival. She looked down at their joined hands. What if I make things worse? Then we deal with worse. He squeezed gently. Together. The next morning they rode to the county clerk's office. Caleb wanted to see the paperwork himself, wanted to find a loophole. Anything. The clerk was a thin man with tired eyes. He laid out the deeds without ceremony. All legal, he said. Filed proper, paid in full. How did she even know this land was available? Caleb demanded. Public auctions are posted. Anyone can bid. Were they posted? The clerk hesitated. Technically. What does that mean? Means they were posted. In the legal notices. In the newspaper. He shifted uncomfortably. But the auction itself was held on short notice. Most people didn't know it was happening until after. That's not legal. It's borderline, but it's not technically illegal. The clerk lowered his voice. Look, between you and me, Margaret Holloway has friends in the county office. Friends who make sure she knows about opportunities before anyone else does. Can we challenge it? You can try, but you'd need a lawyer and money. And even then she's got judges in her pocket. You'd be fighting uphill all the way. Caleb slammed his hand on the desk. So she just gets away with it. She's been getting away with it for years. The clerk glanced at Lena. Who's your friend? Someone who works for me, Caleb said quickly. Uh-huh. The clerk's eyes narrowed. You look familiar. You from around here? No, Lena said. Funny. Could have sworn I've seen your face somewhere. He pulled out a stack of papers, started flipping through. We get notices sometimes, missing persons, wanted posters, that sort of thing. Lena's heart stopped. She's not missing, Caleb said. And she's not wanted. Didn't say she was, just saying she looks familiar. He found what he was looking for, pulled out a single sheet. Huh, that's interesting. He turned the paper around. It was a notice. From 3 states over. Requesting information about Lena Carter, claiming she was a danger to herself and others, offering a reward for information leading to her location. That you? The clerk asked. Lena couldn't speak. No, Caleb said. Really? Because the resemblance is pretty striking. I said no. The clerk studied them both, then slowly pushed the notice back into the pile. My mistake. Must have been thinking of someone else. We appreciate you checking those deeds for us, Caleb said carefully. Sure thing. The clerk's expression was unreadable. You folks have a good day now, and be careful out there. Lots of dangerous people in the world. They left quickly. Didn't speak until they were 2 miles from town. He knows, Lena said. Maybe. He's going to tell someone. Probably. Caleb, we need to the ranch and figure out our next move. He rode faster. Because if that notice is out, it means your father's casting a wide net. And if Margaret Holloway finds out about it, she'll use it to bury both of us. They made it back to find a stranger waiting at the gate. A man in a sheriff's uniform. Caleb Ryder, he called. That's me. I'm Sheriff Coleman. I need to ask you some questions. About what? About the woman you're harboring. Lena Carter. I've received information that she's wanted in connection with a restraining order violation. Lena's world tilted. She hasn't violated anything, Caleb said. She's been here, on my property, hasn't gone anywhere near the person who filed that order. That may be, but I still need to speak with her, verify her identity, make sure there's no outstanding warrants. You got a warrant to search my property. I don't need one if she comes voluntarily. And if she doesn't, then I'll come back with one. But it'll go easier for everyone if we cooperate now. Caleb looked at Lena. She knew what he was asking. Run or stay. Fight or flee. She'd been running for 5 weeks. And every time she ran, the story they'd written about her got stronger. I'll talk to you, she said. Lena? It's all right. She dismounted, walked toward the sheriff. What do you want to know? Are you Lena Carter? Yes. Are you aware there's a restraining order filed against you in the state of? I'm aware, and I haven't violated it. I've been here, working, staying out of everyone's way. Can anyone verify that? I can, Caleb said. She's been here for over a week, hasn't left the property. And before that? Traveling, Lena said, alone, avoiding people. Sounds like someone with something to hide. Sounds like someone who learned that people can't be trusted. The sheriff studied her. There's also been allegations of mental instability, threats, violence, all lies. Easy to say. Easy to prove. I'm standing here, calm, rational, not threatening anyone. She held his gaze. If I were really dangerous, would I be working on a ranch in the middle of nowhere? Or would I be back where they claim I was stalking someone? Could be you're hiding, waiting for things to blow over. Or I'm trying to survive in a world that decided I was guilty before I had a chance to defend myself. The sheriff was quiet for a long moment. Then he sighed. Look, Miss Carter, I don't know you, don't know your story. But I do know that when powerful people want someone found, they usually have their reasons. And sometimes their reasons are about control, not justice. Maybe. But it's not my job to decide that. It's my job to enforce the law. Then enforce it. Check for warrants. Verify I haven't broken any laws. And when you find out I haven't, leave me alone. He looked at Caleb. You sure you want to get involved in this? I'm already involved. Could cost you. People like the ones looking for her don't stop just because you ask nice. Then they'll learn I don't ask nice either. The sheriff shook his head. All right, I'll check for active warrants. But Miss Carter, if I find anything at all, I'm coming back. And next time won't be a conversation. Understood. He rode off, leaving them standing in a silence that felt like the calm before a storm they both knew was coming. We're running out of time, Lena said. Then we'd better make it count. And somewhere in the distance, thunder rolled across a sky that had been clear 5 minutes ago. The storm hit that night with a violence that made the house shake. Lena stood at the window watching lightning tear the sky apart and thought about how everything in her life had led to this moment. Standing in a stranger's house, waiting for the world to come crashing down again. You should sleep, Caleb said behind her. Can't. Neither can I. He moved to stand beside her. I keep thinking about what the sheriff said, about powerful people not stopping. They won't. My father doesn't lose, ever. He'll send more investigators, more sheriffs. He'll make up more lies until someone believes him. What if we go public first, tell your side before he can twist it? With what proof? It's my word against his. Against Richard's. Against a restraining order, that makes me look guilty just by existing. She pressed her forehead against the glass. I've already lost this fight, Caleb. I'm just trying to figure out how to survive losing. No. His voice was hard. You don't get to give up. Not now. Not after everything. I'm not giving up. I'm being realistic. Realistic is another word for defeated. He turned her to face him. Listen to me. Tomorrow morning, I'm riding to see Marcus. If he's got contacts, if he can find dirt on Margaret Holloway, maybe we can use it. Make a trade. She backs off, we don't expose whatever she's hiding. And if she's not hiding anything, everyone's hiding something, especially people who buy land the way she does. His hands tightened on her shoulders. You stay here. Lock the doors. Don't open them for anyone but me. What if the sheriff comes back? Then you tell him you're waiting for your lawyer. I don't have a lawyer. He doesn't know that. Caleb let her go. I'm not letting them take you. Not without a fight that makes them wish they'd never started this. Rain hammered against the roof. Thunder shook the walls. And somewhere in the darkness, Lena thought she heard horses. But when she looked out, she saw nothing. Just shadows and storm. Morning came gray and cold. Caleb left before sunrise, riding hard toward town. Lena watched him go, feeling like she was watching her last hope disappear into mist. She spent the morning working, feeding horses, checking supplies, keeping her hands busy so her mind wouldn't spiral. But around noon, she heard the wagon. She knew before she looked. Knew from the sound of expensive wheels on dirt road. Knew from the way the horses moved controlled and precise. Margaret Holloway had come back. Lena walked to the porch. Didn't go further. Didn't speak first. Where's Mr. Ryder? Margaret asked. Out. When will he return? Didn't say. Margaret climbed down from the wagon, moving with the confidence of someone who'd never been told no in a way that mattered. And you are? Someone who works here. Really? Because I've done some checking, and there's no record of Caleb Ryder ever hiring anyone. No payroll, no tax documents. Which makes me wonder what kind of arrangement you two have. The kind that's none of your business. Everything that happens on this property is my business, because in 2 weeks I'm going to own it. Margaret walked closer. But I'm curious about you. Where you came from, why you're here, what you're running from. I'm not running from anything. No. Then why does your face match a missing person notice that's been circulating through 3 states? She pulled out a folded paper, the same notice the clerk had shown them. Lena Carter, wanted for questioning in connection with threats, stalking, and restraining order violations. Considered mentally unstable and potentially dangerous. Lena's heart slammed. That's not true. Doesn't matter if it's true. Matters what people believe. Margaret's smile was razor sharp. And right now, if I were to tell the sheriff that Caleb Ryder is harboring a fugitive, what do you think would happen? I'm not a fugitive. Again, doesn't matter. Perception is everything. She tucked the paper away. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave. Today. And you're going to convince Caleb to sell me this property. If you do both those things, I'll forget I ever saw that notice. And if I don't, then I'll make sure every person in this county knows exactly who you are, what you're accused of, and how dangerous it is to harbor you. Margaret's eyes were ice. I'll ruin him, Miss Carter. I'll make sure he loses everything. His land, his reputation, his freedom if I can manage it. All because he was stupid enough to trust you. Why do you want this land so badly? That's also none of your business. If you're going to threaten me, at least have the decency to tell me why. Margaret was quiet for a moment. Then she laughed. You've got spine. I'll give you that. She walked to the edge of the porch. There's copper in these hills. Not much, but enough. I've been buying up properties for 6 months, assembling a claim that'll be worth 10 times what I'm paying. This ranch is the last piece I need. So you're willing to destroy people's lives for copper? I'm willing to do business. If they choose to make it personal, that's their mistake. She turned back. You have until sunset. Leave or I go to the sheriff. Your choice. What about Caleb? What if he doesn't want to sell even after I'm gone? Then I'll find another way to convince him. But at least he'll have a chance here dragging him down. Margaret climbed back into her wagon. Sunset, Miss Carter. Don't make me come back. Cow. Lena stood on the porch long after Margaret left, trying to figure out what the hell to do. She could run. Again. Disappear before Caleb got back and leave him a note explaining why. It would be easier. Cleaner. It would also be exactly what Margaret wanted. She was still trying to decide when she heard the second horse. This one she didn't recognize either. The rider was young, maybe 20, dressed like he'd been riding hard for days. "You Lena Carter," he called. She didn't answer. He dismounted anyway, pulled an envelope from his coat. "I'm supposed to deliver this to Lena Carter, in person. Got paid to ride 3 days straight to make sure it got here." "Who sent you?" "Lady back east, older. Wouldn't give me her name, just said it was urgent." He held out the envelope. "You her or not?" Lena took it. The handwriting on the front was shaky but familiar. Her mother's. The writer tipped his hat. "Good luck, ma'am. Whatever's in there, the lady who sent it looked scared half to death." He rode off before she could ask anything else. Lena opened the envelope with shaking hands. Inside was a single page, written in her mother's cramped script. "Lena, if you're reading this, it means you're still alive. Thank God. I don't have much time. Your father monitors everything I do. But I had to warn you. Richard didn't file that restraining order on his own. Your father paid him to do it, paid him to make up the allegations, paid him to create a paper trail that would make you look unstable. He's planning to have you committed. Permanently. Not to help you. To silence you. Because you know about the money he stole from his business partners, the fraud, the lies. He's terrified you'll expose him. I tried to stop him. I swear I tried. But he threatened to have me committed too if I interfered. I'm so sorry, Lena. I should have believed you. I should have fought harder. Please don't come back. Please stay hidden. I'll keep sending word if I can. But if something happens to me, know that I loved you. I always loved you. I was just too weak to show it when it mattered." Mother. The letter slipped from Lena's fingers. Her whole body shook. All this time, she'd thought her mother had abandoned her, had chosen her father over her daughter. But she'd been trapped too, scared too. And her father wasn't just trying to protect his reputation, he was trying to bury evidence of crimes. She picked up the letter. Read it again. The words didn't change. Her father had orchestrated everything. The broken engagement, the accusations, the restraining order. All of it designed to make sure she could never be believed if she tried to tell the truth. He'd made her invisible by making her crazy. The rage that rose in her chest was so sudden, so complete, that she almost couldn't breathe through it. Caleb returned 3 hours later. He took one look at her face and knew something had broken. "What happened?" She handed him the letter without speaking. He read it slowly. His expression went from confusion to fury. "Son of a bitch!" "It gets worse." She told him about Margaret's visit, the ultimatum, the threat to expose her if she didn't leave. "She can't force you out. She can ruin you if I stay. I don't care. Caleb, she'll destroy everything you've built. And my father will make sure I'm locked away somewhere I can't fight back. We're out of options." "No." He grabbed her arms. "We're out of easy options. That's different." "What does that mean?" "It means Marcus found something. Margaret Holloway isn't just buying land. She's been bribing county officials, falsifying deeds, running people off their property through intimidation and threats. He's got proof, documents, testimony from people she's forced out." How did he get that? Turns out he spent the last 5 years making connections, building a network. He knew eventually he'd need leverage for something. And this is it. Caleb's eyes burned. "We can expose her. Take it to the territorial governor. Make enough noise that she can't bury it." "And what happens to me while you're making noise? The sheriff's probably already got a warrant. Margaret's probably already told him where I am." "Then we move faster than they do." "How?" "We go tonight, to the territorial capital. We take everything Marcus found and we lay it all out for someone who's got authority over these county officials. He pulled her closer. And we take your mother's letter. We show them the real conspiracy, the one your father created. We make them see you're not the criminal here. They won't believe me. They will if we make enough noise, if we get enough attention, if we force them to look at the evidence instead of just the accusations. That's a huge risk. Yeah, but sitting here waiting for them to come get us is a guaranteed loss. He searched her face. I'm asking you to trust me. One more time. Trust that there's a way out of this that doesn't end with you locked up or me homeless. She wanted to believe him. Wanted to believe there was a path through this that didn't end in destruction. All right, she said. We go tonight. Not we. You. He let her go. I need to stay here. Hold the property. If I leave, Margaret can claim I abandoned it. But you go with Marcus. He knows the governor's people. He can get you a hearing. I'm not leaving you here alone. You have to. Because if we both go and they come with a warrant, they'll arrest us both. This way at least one of us has a chance to fight. Caleb, this isn't up for debate. His voice was steel. You're getting on that horse tonight, and you're riding to the Capitol with my brother. You're going to tell your story to someone who can actually do something about it, and you're going to survive this. What about you? I'll deal with Margaret, stall her, make her think she's won. By the time she realizes what we've done, it'll be too late. She'll destroy you. Let her try. He cupped her face. You've been running for 5 weeks. You've been fighting alone for longer than that. Let someone else carry the weight for once. Let me be the one who stands between you and the people trying to break you. Tears burned her eyes. I don't want to lose you. You won't. Because I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying right here, holding this ground, waiting for you to come back. His thumb brushed away a tear. And when you do, we're going to build something here that nobody can take from us. Promise. I promise. She kissed him then, desperate and fierce and full of everything she couldn't put into words. He kissed her back like he was memorizing the shape of her mouth, the taste of her tears, the feel of her body against his. When they broke apart, he pressed his forehead to hers. Go get ready. Marcus will be here in an hour. But Marcus didn't arrive in an hour. He arrived in 40 minutes riding fast with blood on his shirt. They know, he gasped. Margaret knows. She's got men coming. Tonight. They're going to burn you out. Make it look like an accident. Caleb went white. How do you know? Because I heard them planning it. I was at the saloon asking questions. Overheard 2 of her hired men talking. They've got orders to torch the barn. Make sure you can't prove anything. If you're in it. He didn't finish. How long do we have? An hour. Maybe 2 if we're lucky. Lena's mind raced. Then we all go. Now. Right now. We take what we can carry and we ride for the Capitol. If we leave, she wins, Caleb said. If we stay, we die. She grabbed his arm. You said you'd fight. This is fighting. We survive. We regroup. We come back with authority on our side. She'll claim we abandoned the property. She'll take it legally. Then we fight her in court, with the evidence Marcus found, with my mother's letter, with everything we've got. She pulled him toward the house. But we can't fight if we're dead. He looked at the ranch, at the land he'd worked for 6 years, the place he'd built as penance and prison both. Caleb, Marcus said quietly. She's right. Living to fight is better than dying to make a point. I can't just walk away. You're not walking away. You're making a tactical retreat. Marcus's voice was urgent. Daniel would tell you the same thing. Survive first. Win second. The name hit Caleb like a punch. He closed his eyes, breathed hard, then nodded once. Get the horses ready. Pack light. We leave in 10 minutes. Check. They were loading the last saddlebag when they heard the riders. Too many, coming fast. They're early, Marcus said. Caleb swore. Back door, now. They ran through the house, out the back, toward the horses they'd tied behind the barn. But as they rounded the corner, they saw more 6 men, armed, blocking their escape. "Going somewhere, Ryder," the lead man smiled. "Miss Holloway thought you might try to run. Asked us to make sure you stayed put. We're leaving, peacefully. You can tell her she can have the property." "Oh, she'll have it, but you won't be around to see it." He raised his rifle. "Nothing personal, just business." "Wait." Lena stepped forward. "I'm the one she wants. Let them go. Take me to her. She can have me arrested, committed, whatever she wants. Just let them go." "That's real noble, ma'am." But our orders were clear. No witnesses. Marcus moved then. Fast. Grabbed a shovel leaning against the barn and swung it hard into the nearest man's face. The man went down. His horse reared. Chaos erupted. "Run!" Marcus shouted. Caleb grabbed Lena's hand and pulled her toward the horses. Gunfire cracked behind them. Someone screamed. Lena didn't look back, just ran, mounted, kicked her horse into a gallop. They rode hard, east, away from the ranch, away from the men who'd been sent to kill them. The sound of pursuit followed. Gunshots, shouting, hoofbeats pounding. "This way." Caleb veered north, into rougher terrain. Ground that would slow the pursuit, but kill them if they weren't careful. "Where's Marcus?" Lena shouted. "Don't know. Just ride." They rode for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes. The pursuit fell back, either gave up or got lost in the darkness that was coming fast. Finally, Caleb slowed, stopped, listened. Nothing. Just wind and their horses breathing hard. "We need to keep moving," he said. "They'll regroup, come after us again." "What about Marcus?" "He can take care of himself." "Caleb, I said he can take care of himself." But his voice cracked. "We focus on surviving. Then we figure out the rest." They rode on, into a night that swallowed them whole. They made camp in a canyon. No fire, no light. Just darkness and cold, and the knowledge that everything they'd tried to build had collapsed in the space of an hour. "I'm sorry," Lena said. "For what?" "For bringing this to your door. For making you lose everything." "You didn't make me do anything." Caleb leaned back against rock. "I chose this, chose you, chose to fight." "We didn't fight. We ran. We survived. That's a fight too." He was quiet for a moment. "Marcus bought us time. Maybe his life. I don't know. But he gave us a chance. We can't waste it." "What do we do now?" "We get to the capital. We find the governor. We expose Margaret and your father both." He turned his head toward her. "And we make sure every sacrifice that got us here actually means something." Lena moved closer, let her head rest on his shoulder, felt him wrap his arm around her. "Do you think Marcus made it?" she whispered. "I don't know." "Do you think we will?" "We have to." His grip tightened. "Because if we don't, they win, and I'm not letting them win." They sat in the darkness, two people who'd lost everything except each other, waiting for morning to come and show them what was left to fight for. Somewhere behind them, the ranch was probably burning. Somewhere ahead, people who wanted them silenced were probably waiting. But right here, right now, they were still alive, and that would have to be enough. Dawn came cold and unforgiving. Lena woke to find Caleb already awake, staring back the way they'd come. "Did you sleep at all?" she asked. "Couldn't. Kept listening for riders." "Did you hear any?" "No, but that doesn't mean they're not coming." They ate stale bread and drank water from a creek that tasted like rust. Neither spoke much. There wasn't much to say that wouldn't make the situation feel worse than it already was. "We need to move," Caleb said finally. "Stay ahead of them." "What if they're not following? What if they think we're dead?" "Then we still need to get to the capital before Margaret realizes we're not." He stood wincing. His ribs were bruised from the fall off his horse the night before. "Can you ride?" "I don't have a choice." They were saddling the horses when they heard it. A single horse. Moving slow. Limping. Caleb pulled his rifle. Lena grabbed the knife she'd taken from the ranch kitchen. They waited. Marcus emerged from the canyon path. His face was battered. His left arm hung at a wrong angle. But he was alive. Jesus! Caleb breathed, running to him. Marcus slid off his horse and nearly collapsed. Took the long way. Lost them in the rocks. Your arm. Broken. Got thrown when my horse went down. He grimaced. But I got away. That's what matters. Lena brought water. Marcus drank like he'd been wandering the desert for days. Did they follow you? Caleb asked. Don't think so. I covered my tracks, doubled back twice. He looked at Lena. They were asking about you, specifically. Wanted to know where you'd run to. Margaret knows who I am. Worse, she knows who your father is, and she's already sent word to him. Marcus coughed, spat blood. One of her men was bragging about the reward, said your father's offering $5,000 for information leading to your capture. Lena's stomach dropped. 5,000. That's enough to make every bounty hunter and lawman from here to the coast start looking. Marcus gripped Caleb's shoulder. We need to get her to the capital. Fast. Before word spreads further. You need a doctor. I need her safe more. Marcus straightened, biting back pain. I can ride. Let's go. They rode hard for 3 hours before Marcus's horse finally gave out. The animal had been pushed too far, limping badly, breathing wrong. We can't keep this pace, Lena said. We don't have a choice, Marcus replied. You're going to kill that horse, and yourself. Then I'll die trying to make this right. He looked at Caleb. Keep going. I'll catch up. Like hell. Caleb dismounted. We rest, 1 hour. Then we figure out a better plan. There is no better plan. Every minute we waste, every minute you push yourself closer to bleeding out internally is a minute less you can help us. Caleb's voice was firm. We rest. That's final. Marcus wanted to argue, but his body made the decision for him. He slumped against a tree, breathing shallow. Lena examined his arm as best she could. The break was bad. Needed setting. Needed care they couldn't provide. This is going to hurt, she said. Everything hurts. She braced the arm, pulled. He bit down on his belt and screamed through clenched teeth as the bone shifted. Not perfectly, but better than it was. When she finished, Marcus was white and sweating. Thank you, he gasped. Don't thank me yet. If that gets infected, I know. He closed his eyes. But at least now I can hold reins. Here. They were about to move again when they heard voices, multiple, coming from the direction they'd been heading. Caleb signaled silence. They led the horses behind rocks, waited. A group emerged. 5 men. Not Margaret's. These were wearing different clothes. Rougher. Carrying wanted posters. Bounty hunters. You see the description, one said. Woman. Mid-20s. Brown hair. Dangerous and unstable. $5,000 just for information. Where do we deliver her? County sheriff, or directly to the father if we can get her across state lines. The man laughed. Either way, that's more money than we'll see in 5 years. You think she's really out here? Sheriff said last known location was Ryder's Ranch. Place burned down last night. Ryder's missing. Woman's missing. Smart money says they ran together. So we find them, we get double rewards. Assuming she doesn't kill us first. Notice said she's violent. They passed within 50 feet of where Caleb, Lena, and Marcus were hiding. Lena barely breathed. One wrong sound, and they'd be discovered. The bounty hunters moved on. Disappeared into the landscape. We can't use the main road, Caleb said quietly. There is no other road to the capital, Marcus replied. Then we go cross-country, stay off trails, move at night. That'll add 2 days to the journey. Better than getting caught? Caleb looked at Lena. Can you do 2 more days? She thought about her mother, about the letter, about everything her father had done to silence her. I'll do whatever it takes. They traveled through terrain that fought them every step. Rocky ground that shredded their horses' hooves. Brush that tore clothes and skin. Water sources that were either dry or contaminated. By the second night, they were exhausted. Marcus's arm was swelling. Caleb's ribs were worse. Lena's hands were bleeding from helping Marcus stay in his saddle when he started to fade. "We're not going to make it," Marcus said. His voice was weak. Fever had set in. "Yes, we are," Caleb said. "Be realistic. I'm slowing you down. Leave me. Get her to safety." "We're not leaving you." "Caleb, I said we're not leaving you." His voice cracked. "I've lost enough. I'm not losing you too." Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then, "I never apologized. For Daniel. For lying. For being a coward." "You apologized by coming back. By helping. By almost getting yourself killed to give us a chance." Caleb helped him down from his horse. "That's enough." They made camp in a dry creek bed. No fire again. Just darkness and the sound of Marcus struggling to breathe. Lena sat with Caleb holding his hand because it was the only thing she could do. "What if we don't make it?" she whispered. "We will." "But what if we don't? What if Marcus dies? What if we get caught? What if all of this was for nothing? Then at least we tried. At least we didn't go quietly." He squeezed her hand. "I'd rather die fighting beside you than live safely without you." "That's not comforting." "It's the truth." She leaned into him, felt his arm come around her. "I love you, you know." The words surprised her as much as they surprised him. "You don't have to. I know I don't have to. I want to." She looked up at him. "You gave me a place when I had nowhere. You fought for me when everyone else wanted me gone. You made me feel like I was worth something again." "You were always worth something. But I didn't believe it until you showed me." She touched his face. "So whatever happens, I need you to know, I love you, and I'm grateful, for all of it." He kissed her then, slow and deep and full of everything they hadn't said. When they broke apart, his eyes were wet. "I love you too," he said. "More than I thought I could love anything after Daniel died. Then we survived this, together. Together." Dig. Morning brought a miracle and a nightmare in equal measure. The miracle, a farmhouse. Isolated. Smoke rising from the chimney. Signs of life. The nightmare Marcus couldn't stand. "Go without me," he said. His lips were cracked. His skin was gray. "No," Caleb said. "I'm dead weight. You know it. I know it." "Then we get help. At that farmhouse." Caleb pointed. "We get you medicine, rest. Then we keep going. And if they turn us in for the reward, then we deal with it when it happens." He lifted Marcus with Lena's help. Together they got him back on his horse, tied him to the saddle so he wouldn't fall. They approached the farmhouse slowly, carefully, ready to run if needed. An older woman answered their knock. She took one look at Marcus, and her expression shifted from suspicion to concern. "What happened to him?" "Broken arm, fever, we need help," Caleb said. "You running from something?" "Yes." The honesty seemed to surprise her. She studied them, then stepped aside. "Bring him in, quickly." Her name was Sarah. She was a widow, had been a nurse during the war. She looked at Marcus's arm, felt his forehead, and immediately started giving orders. "You boil water. You get me clean cloth from that chest, and someone tell me what really happened." Lena told her. Not everything, but enough. The corrupt woman buying land, the false accusations, the bounty hunters. Sarah listened while she worked, cleaning Marcus's arm, resetting the bone properly this time, wrapping it, forcing liquid down his throat. "You're telling me Margaret Holloway is behind this?" she asked. "You know her. Know of her. She tried to buy my land 2 years ago. When I refused, my barn mysteriously burned down. My well got poisoned. My livestock started dying. Sarah's jaw was tight. I couldn't prove it was her. But I knew. Why did she want your land? Same reason she wants everyone's. Copper. There's a vein running through this whole region. She's been buying it up piece by piece using whatever methods work. How did you stop her? I didn't. She moved on to easier targets. But I knew eventually she'd circle back. Sarah looked at Lena. And you. Running from your own father. He's trying to have me committed to hide crimes he committed. Men with power do terrible things to keep it. Sarah finished with Marcus. He needs rest. At least a day, maybe 2. We don't have 2 days, Caleb said. Then he'll die before you reach the capital. Your choice. Caleb looked at Marcus, at his brother who'd come back to help after 6 years of exile, who'd broken his arm and nearly died to buy them time. 1 day, he said. We rest 1 day. They were eating dinner when the knock came. Hard, insistent. Sarah went to answer it. Caleb and Lena moved to the back room where Marcus was sleeping. Sarah Mitchell, a man's voice said. Who's asking? Sheriff Coleman. I'm looking for 2 fugitives, man and woman. Might be traveling with another man. You seen anyone like that? Lena's heart stopped. Lots of people pass through here, Sarah said calmly. That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting without a warrant. I can get a warrant. Then get one. Until then, get off my property. There was a long silence. Then footsteps. Leaving. Sarah closed the door, locked it, came back to where they were hiding. He knows you're here, she said. How? Caleb asked. Probably followed your tracks, or got a tip from someone who saw you. She grabbed a coat. You need to leave, now. I'll delay him as long as I can. We can't move, Marcus. You have to. Because if the sheriff comes back with that warrant, he'll arrest all of us. She pressed supplies into Lena's hands. There's a cave system about 5 miles north, used to hide runaway slaves before the war. Sheriff doesn't know about it. You can hide there until Marcus is strong enough to travel. Why are you helping us? Lena asked. Because Margaret Holloway has taken enough from people who couldn't fight back. And because I know what it's like to be hunted for things you didn't do. Sarah looked at Marcus. Get him up. I'll saddle your horses. They moved fast, got Marcus conscious enough to ride, tied him to his saddle again. Sarah gave them directions. Food, medicine. When you get to the capital, find Judge Harrison, she said. He's one of the few honest men left in this territory. Tell him Sarah Mitchell sent you. He'll listen. Thank you, Lena said. Don't thank me. Just survive. And when you take Margaret Holloway down, make sure she knows she pushed too many people too far. Day. They found the caves just as the sun was setting. Dark, damp, but hidden. Safe. Marcus was unconscious again. They laid him on blankets Sarah had given them. Lena checked his pulse. It was there. Weak, but steady. He's going to make it, she said. More hope than certainty. He has to. Caleb sat beside his brother. I can't lose him again. You won't. You don't know that. No. But I know he didn't come back just to die in a cave. He came back to make things right, and he's not done yet. Caleb was quiet. Then, what Sarah said about Judge Harrison, you think he'll really help? I don't know, but it's the best chance we've got. And if he doesn't, then we keep fighting. We find another way. We don't stop until either we win or we're dead. He looked at her. You've changed. What do you mean? When you first showed up at my ranch, you were ready to disappear, ready to accept that the world had beaten you. He touched her face. Now you're talking about fighting until you're dead. What happened? You happened. You showed me what it looks like to stand your ground even when standing costs everything. She took his hand. And I realized I'm tired of running. Tired of letting other people decide what I'm worth. Tired of being silent while they write lies about who I am. So what are you going to do? I'm going to walk into that capital. I'm going to tell Judge Harrison everything. And I'm going to watch my father's empire burn. Her voice was steel. And then I'm going to come back and help you rebuild that ranch. Because Margaret Holloway doesn't get to win. Not against us. Pulled her close. Held her like she was the only solid thing in a world that kept shifting. We're going to be all right, he said. I know. How? Because we have to be. Because anything else is unacceptable. They sat in the darkness holding each other while Marcus fought fever, and the world outside kept hunting them. But for the first time since this whole nightmare started, Lena felt something she hadn't felt in weeks. Hope. Not the fragile, desperate kind. The fierce, determined kind. The kind that said no matter what came next, she would face it standing up. And she wouldn't face it alone. Marcus woke just before dawn. His fever had broken. His eyes were clear. We should move, he said, voice rough but steady. You sure you can ride? Caleb asked. I'll manage. He sat up slowly. How far to the capital? Half a day if we push hard. Then we push hard. Marcus looked at Lena. Your father's probably already there, waiting. He'll have lawyers, influence, money. I know. And you're still willing to face him. I have to, for my mother, for everyone he's hurt, for myself. She stood. I'm done being afraid of him. Marcus smiled. It was weak but genuine. Good, because we're going to need that fire when we walk through those doors. They packed quickly, mounted, rode out of the caves into a morning that felt charged with possibility and danger both. The capital was waiting. Judge Harrison was waiting. And somewhere in that city, her father was probably already building his defense. But Lena had something he didn't. She had the truth. And she had people willing to fight beside her. That would have to be enough. They rode hard through terrain that gradually shifted from wild to settled. Farms appeared. Then roads. Then buildings. And finally rising against the horizon like a promise or a threat, depending on how you looked at it, the territorial capital. Caleb reached over and took Lena's hand. Whatever happens in there, he said, I'm with you. I know. Are you ready? She thought about her mother's letter, about Margaret's cruelty, about the ranch burning, about 5 weeks of running and hiding and being told she was crazy for telling the truth. Yes, she said. I'm ready. They rode into the city as the sun climbed higher, 3 people who'd lost everything except each other, ready to fight one last battle that would either save them or destroy them completely. Judge Harrison's office was in a building that had seen better days. The clerk at the front looked them over with suspicion that turned to alarm when he saw Marcus's condition. We need to see the judge, Caleb said. He's not taking appointments without... Sarah Mitchell sent us. Tell him that. The clerk's expression shifted. Wait here. He disappeared through a door. They waited standing because sitting felt like admitting weakness. Lena could feel eyes on them from other offices. Could hear whispers starting. The clerk returned. He'll see you. But only the woman. No, Caleb said immediately. Those are his terms. Then we don't accept them, Marcus said. Wait. Lena touched Caleb's arm. It's all right. I need to do this anyway. Lena, he wants to hear my story. Let me tell it. She looked at the clerk. But I want my statement recorded, written down, signed and witnessed. The clerk nodded. That can be arranged. She followed him through the door, leaving Caleb and Marcus in a waiting room that felt like a trap. Judge Harrison was older than she expected, 70 maybe, with eyes that had seen too much corruption to be easily fooled, but enough humanity left to still care. Sit, he said. She did. Sarah Mitchell doesn't send people to me lightly, so tell me why you're here. Lena took a breath. Then she told him everything. About Richard. About her father's fraud. About the fake restraining order. About Margaret Holloway's land grab and the fire and the bounty hunters. She showed him her mother's letter. Showed him the evidence Marcus had gathered. Harrison listened without interrupting. When she finished, he was quiet for a long time. That's quite an accusation, he said finally. It's the truth. Truth and proof aren't always the same thing. I have proof. My mother's letter, Marcus's documents, the pattern of Margaret's land acquisitions, the testimony of people she's forced out. Your mother's letter could be argued as the writing of a woman under duress. Marcus's documents could be challenged. And testimony from people with grudges isn't always credible in court. Lena's stomach sank. So you won't help? I didn't say that. Harrison leaned forward. I said proof is complicated. But I've been watching Margaret Holloway for 2 years, waiting for someone brave enough or desperate enough to challenge her. You might be both. What do you need from me? I need you to testify, under oath, in front of a territorial review board. I need you to repeat everything you just told me, knowing that your father will be there. Knowing that Margaret will have lawyers trying to tear you apart. Knowing that if you're lying, or if you can't prove it, you'll be arrested for perjury, and possibly worse. When? 3 days. I can convene an emergency session. He paused. But you should know your father arrived in the capital yesterday. Her blood went cold. He's here. With lawyers and petitions to have you committed. He's claiming you're a danger to yourself and others, that you need immediate intervention. He's trying to stop me from talking. Yes, and he's very persuasive. Harrison's expression was grave. If you testify, and he can convince the board you're mentally unstable, they'll order you institutionalized. You'll lose all credibility, all freedom, everything. And if I don't testify, then Margaret continues destroying lives. Your father continues hiding his crimes, and you spend the rest of your life running. It wasn't really a choice. I'll testify, Lena said. Good. Harrison called for the clerk. Record her statement. Everything. Make 3 copies. 1 for the board, 1 for her, 1 for my files. They were leaving the building when Lena saw him. Her father, James Carter, standing across the street with 2 men in expensive suits, watching. He didn't approach, didn't call out, just stared at her with an expression that was equal parts fury and calculation. That him? Caleb asked quietly. Yes. He looks like a man who's used to winning. He is. Lena forced herself to meet her father's eyes, forced herself not to look away. But he's never faced someone with nothing left to lose. James smiled. It was cold. Then he turned and walked away, flanked by his lawyers like guards. 3 days, Marcus said. We need to stay hidden until then. Where? Caleb asked. Every hotel in this city probably has our descriptions by now. I know a place, Marcus said. Old boarding house on the edge of town. Owner owes me a favor. We can stay there. How do you know so many people who owe you favors? Lena asked. 5 years of making connections, helping people, building trust. Marcus managed a weak smile. Turns out being helpful is a good long-term strategy. Yeah. The boarding house was run by a woman named Clara, who asked no questions and expected no answers. She gave them a room in the back, told them to stay out of sight, brought them food twice a day. Your father's been making inquiries, she told them on the 2nd day, offering money for information about a mentally unstable woman and the men helping her. Anyone taking him up on it? Caleb asked. Not yet, but money talks, especially to people who don't have much of it. Clara paused. You've got 1 more day. Make sure you're ready. After she left, Lena sat by the window watching the street below. Caleb came to stand beside her. You don't have to do this, he said. Yes, I do. You could run. We could all run. Start over somewhere they'll never find us. And live looking over our shoulders forever. She turned to face him. I'm tired of running, Caleb. I want to stand still. I want to build something. I want a life. Even if it means risking everything. Especially then. She took his hand. You taught me that. Standing ground even when it costs everything. That's what you did for 6 years. Now it's my turn. He pulled her close. I wish I could do this for you. You are doing it. By being here. By believing me. by making me believe in myself again." She pressed her face against his chest. "That's everything." The morning of the hearing, Lena before dawn. Couldn't eat, couldn't think. Just paced the small room while Caleb and Marcus watched. "You remember what to do?" Marcus asked. "Tell the truth. Don't let them rattle me. Focus on the facts. And if your father tries to provoke you..." I stay calm. I don't engage. I let the evidence speak. "Good." Marcus stood still, favoring his broken arm. "Because he's going to try everything to make you look unstable. That's his whole strategy." "I know." "Do you..." Marcus's voice was gentle. "Because knowing it and living through it are different things. When he looks at you. When he calls you a liar in front of everyone. When he acts like the concerned father, it's going to hurt. I can handle it." "I know you can. I just want to make sure you're ready for how much it's going to hurt." Lena met his eyes, saw understanding there. He knew what it was like to face family across a divide built by lies. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" "For coming back. For fighting. For proving that people can change." Marcus looked away. "I'm just trying to be the person Daniel thought I could be. You already are." The hearing room was packed. Judge Harrison sat at the center. 4 other board members flanked him. Lena's father sat in the front row with his lawyers. Margaret Holloway sat 2 rows back, perfectly composed. Lena walked to the witness chair. Her hands shook. She hid them in her lap. "State your name for the record," Harrison said. "Lena Marie Carter. Miss Carter, you've made serious allegations against 2 parties, Margaret Holloway and your father, James Carter. Do you understand that making false statements under oath is a crime?" "I do." "And you still wish to proceed?" "I do." "Then please tell the board what you know." She started with Richard. The engagement. The fake pregnancy accusation. The way her father had paid him to break it off and file the restraining order. Her voice shook at first, but grew steadier as she went. Then she moved to Margaret Holloway. The land grab, the bribes, the threats, the fire. She presented Marcus's evidence. Sarah's testimony in writing. The pattern of corruption that stretched back years. When she finished, the room was silent. Then her father's lead lawyer stood. "Miss Carter, isn't it true that you've been diagnosed with severe anxiety and depression?" "I've struggled with both. That doesn't make me a liar." "And isn't it true that you became obsessed with Mr. Hammond after he ended your engagement?" "No, I left town. I avoided him completely." "Yet there's a restraining order that says otherwise." "A restraining order my father paid for, based on false statements." "Can you prove that?" "My mother's letter. A letter from a woman your father says is also mentally unwell, a woman who you claim is being controlled and threatened." The lawyer's smile was sharp. "Convenient that the only witness to your father's alleged crimes is someone who can't testify without potentially incriminating herself." She told the truth. Everything in that letter is true. Or it's the fantasy of a desperate woman trying to justify running away from consequences of her own actions. Lena's hands clenched. "I'm not fantasizing. I'm not desperate. I'm telling the truth about a man who has spent his entire life manipulating people to protect his reputation. A man who's here today to help you get the treatment you need. He's here to silence me." "Miss Carter, have you been taking any medication for your mental health conditions?" The question was designed to trap her. If she said yes, they'd claim the medication made her unreliable. If she said no, they'd claim she was unstable without treatment. "I haven't needed medication. I needed safety. I needed distance from people who were destroying me." So no medical treatment, no professional help, just running away and making accusations. "Objection," Marcus called from the gallery. "He's badgering the witness." "Sustained," Harrison said. "Counsel, stick to questions." The lawyer shifted tactics. "Miss Carter, you claim Margaret Holloway orchestrated a fire at the Ryder Ranch. Were you present when this fire started?" "No, we'd already fled." "So you have no direct knowledge of how the fire started." "I have knowledge of the threats, of the men she sent, of her pattern of destroying property to force sales." Pattern, but no proof of this specific fire. The timing. Timing isn't proof, it's speculation. He turned to the board. This entire testimony is based on speculation, hearsay, and the unreliable statements of a woman who, by her own admission, has been running from legal consequences for weeks. Lena felt the ground shifting beneath her, felt the case slipping away. Then, Margaret Holloway made a mistake. She stood up. "If I may address the board." Harrison nodded. Margaret walked forward confident. "I've listened to these accusations with patience, but I can't sit silently while my reputation is destroyed by lies. Miss Carter has fabricated an entire conspiracy to deflect from her own instability. I've done nothing but conduct legitimate business in this territory." Legitimate business. Caleb stood. "Like poisoning Sarah Mitchell's well when she wouldn't sell." "I have no idea what you're talking about." "Or bribing County Clerk Morrison to hold auctions on short notice so only you knew about them." Margaret's composure cracked slightly. "That's absurd." "Is it?" Marcus stood holding up documents. "Because I have his sworn statement right here, dated 2 days ago. He's willing to testify about every bribe you paid, every auction you rigged, every deed you falsified." The room erupted. Harrison banged his gavel. "Order. I'll have order." Margaret's lawyer jumped up. "Those documents are inadmissible. They were obtained legally," Marcus interrupted. "Morrison came forward voluntarily after I explained he could either testify truthfully or face charges as an accessory." Harrison held out his hand. "Let me see those documents." Marcus brought them forward. Harrison read them, his expression darkening with each page. "These are signed confessions," he said quietly, "detailing systematic corruption going back 3 years. "Your Honor, I protest," Margaret's lawyer began. "Your protest is noted and overruled." Harrison looked at Margaret. "Miss Holloway, you're going to answer some questions under oath. Right now." Margaret's face went white. "I want my lawyer to." "You can have your lawyer present. But you're going to answer. Did you bribe County Clerk Morrison to manipulate public land auctions?" Silence. "Answer the question, Miss Holloway." I exercised my right to participate in legal transactions." "That's not an answer. Did you pay Morrison to give you advance notice of auctions and suppress public posting requirements?" Margaret's jaw tightened. "I may have provided compensation for administrative assistance." "Administrative assistance." Harrison's voice was ice. "Is that what we're calling bribery now?" The trap had sprung. Margaret had just admitted to corruption in a room full of witnesses. Then James Carter stood. "Your Honor, my daughter's mental state is still the primary concern here, regardless of Miss Holloway's business practices." "Sit down, Mr. Carter." "I will not. My daughter needs, Your daughter needs justice, something you've apparently been denying her." Harrison pulled out another document. "I received this by special courier this morning, from the state capitol. It's a deposition from Dr. Richard Hammond." Lena's breath stopped. "In this deposition, Dr. Hammond admits that you paid him $5,000 to break his engagement with your daughter and file a false restraining order. He further admits that you threatened to destroy his medical practice if he didn't comply." Harrison's eyes bore into James. "Would you like to address these allegations, Mr. Carter?" James went very still. "That deposition is a fabrication. It's notarized, witnessed by 2 attorneys and a court stenographer." Harrison stood. "It's also part of a larger investigation into your business practices. Fraud, embezzlement, corruption of witnesses. The state prosecutor is very interested in speaking with you." "This is ridiculous. I demand—" "You don't get to demand anything." Harrison's voice cut through the room like a blade. "You've used your power to destroy your daughter's reputation, ruin her life, and attempt to have her unlawfully institutionalized, all to cover your own crimes." He turned to the bailiff. "Take Mr. Carter into custody pending formal charges." "You can't do this," James shouted as the bailiff approached. "I have rights. I have lawyers." "You also have a daughter you tried to silence and destroy." Harrison looked at Lena. Miss Carter, the board finds your testimony credible and supported by substantial evidence. All charges and accusations against you are hereby dismissed. The restraining indicated, and I'm issuing a counter-restraining order preventing your father from contacting you or coming within 500 feet of you. Lena couldn't breathe, couldn't process what was happening. Furthermore, Harrison continued, Margaret Holloway, you're under arrest for bribery, fraud, and conspiracy. All properties acquired through illegal means will be reviewed. Those obtained fraudulently will be returned to their rightful owners. Margaret lunged for the door. The bailiff caught her. You can't prove anything, she screamed. I'll fight this, But her voice was drowned out by the chaos as both she and James Carter were led away in chains. Outside the courthouse, Lena stood in sunlight that felt impossible. Caleb's arm was around her. Marcus stood beside them, grinning despite the pain in his ribs. We won, she said, like she couldn't quite believe it. You won, Caleb corrected. You stood up. You told the truth. You made them listen. We all won. She looked at Marcus. Your evidence. Harrison's integrity. Sarah's help. It took all of us. And now, Marcus asked, now we go home. Caleb looked at Lena. The ranch is still standing. Damaged, but standing. We can rebuild it. Together, she said. Together. 6 months later, the ranch looked different. New barn, repaired fences, fields that were actually producing, and 3 people working them instead of 1. Lena stood on the porch, watching the sun set over land that finally felt like it belonged to her. Not because of papers or deeds, but because she'd fought for it, bled for it, chosen it. Caleb came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist. You thinking about before? He asked. I'm thinking about now and after. What's after? Whatever we build it to be. She turned in his arms. I got a letter from my mother today. Yeah. She left him, filed for divorce. She's starting over. Lena smiled. She said watching me fight gave her the courage to fight for herself. You proud of that? I'm proud of her. Marcus called from the barn. You 2 going to stand there all night or help me feed the horses? We're coming, Caleb called back. Then to Lena. You ready? For what? For this. For building a life. For staying in one place instead of running. She thought about the girl who'd arrived 5 months ago with nothing but fear and a dying horse. Thought about everything that had happened since. The fight. The fear. The moments when giving up seemed easier than going on. And she thought about this moment. Standing on a porch with a man who loved her. Working land that was theirs. Living a life built on truth instead of lies. I'm ready, she said. I'm finally ready. They walked toward the barn together, toward Marcus and horses and work that would never end. But for the first time in her life, Lena wasn't running from something. She was running toward it, a future she'd chosen, a home she'd fought for, and a love that proved she'd always been worth fighting for, even when the whole world said otherwise.